All right, Duke fans, we got a special guest for you today. Episode 742 of the Duke Basketball Roundup. Donald Wine, Jason Evans. This is going to be a good one. Donald, you excited?
Yeah, I don't have my championship belt, but it's because the people's champs in the building.
Exactly. We are joined by none other than Nolan Smith, friend of the podcast. We were just talking beforehand. Nolan, we've interviewed you a few times before. We may cover some of the same ground a little bit, but there's something big and new to talk to you about.
Yes,
You are
sir.
a head coach, my man. Tennessee
Yes, sir.
State.
Man, very, very excited and humbled to be in this position. This is why we get into coaching. I just know Coach K asked all of us before we joined his bench. He's like, "Hey, do you want to be a head coach?" And if your answer is yes, then you can join his staff. I don't think anybody's ever said no. I don't know what the answer would be, but all of us, obviously, when we wore the jersey and we put the suit on, or now slacks and polos, we all wanted to be in this seat and be in the position to be head coaches. So I'm very excited and ready to get rolling in this position.
Hey, can I start really quickly? I'm going to let Donald take most of the lead here, but I just want to start really quickly and ask you, how did this come about? Was there a long interview process? Take us through the process of you were at Memphis and then Tennessee
Yep.
State called.
Yep. It was a very, very quick process. I remember sitting at home one random night and my agent called me and said, "Hey man, what do you think about Tennessee State?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." Obviously for a head coaching job, I'm like, "Yeah, let's go." I said, "But I think they hired their interim head coach." He goes, "Well, I know the AD." He was like, "I'm gonna give him a call and just kind of see where they're at." So he gives Dr. Allen a call. And Doc's like, "Hey man, appreciate you reaching out." He's like, "We are looking for a head coach." He's like, "I have a very short list of guys that I want to hire." So my agent's like, "Well, I have a guy that I think should be at the top of your list, but go ahead and tell me who you're listing. I'll tell you who I got." And he says, "Well, the top of my list is Nolan Smith." My agent goes, "Well, that's who I'm calling you about."
Come on. Wait. Is that for real? That's hysterical.
Real story, real story. So. Soon as he hangs up with him, he calls me and says, "Hey, look, you're at the top of his list. He wants to get on the phone with you like in the next 5 hours. Are you available?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm available." He calls. We talk for about an hour, and by the time we got off the phone, I mean, I knew and felt it was a done deal, um, that we were going to move forward pretty quickly.
And I guess, how does that feel, right? Like, I have not been at the top of a list of an interview process in a very long time, but when you get that information, how does that excite you? And what excites you about Tennessee State in particular?
Well, it's very exciting to be at the top of somebody's list and be wanted for a position like this. It's just a testament to your hard work and where you've been and what you've done. Obviously, starting at Duke, when you come off of Coach K's bench and from his coaching tree, you're obviously thought of as a very big time coach and person and check all the boxes. But then when they look at my resume from a player and coach, it excites people. And then, so the conversation, it's a much easier conversation than trying to, really sell yourself and tell them all the good things about you, but he already knew. He already knew, so it made the conversation just a very laid back, get to know each other. We talked a little bit of basketball, then just picked a little bit into my brain as far as my philosophies as a human being first, and then as a coach, which was fun just to have that conversation with him. Um, and then yeah, I mean just to be in this position now to move forward as the head coach here at Tennessee State is just very very exciting.
So you've been able to be an assistant coach at the place that you played. You've been an assistant coach at the place where your dad played, your second home. You've been an assistant coach at Memphis under a guy who I know you love and respect and has been a guy that you've looked up to for a very long
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
I hope you will forgive me by saying that as a black man, taking over at a HBCU was probably the most important thing, uh, part of your career so far. Tell me
yeah.
about what that means to you to be a part of an HBCU as heralded as Tennessee State.
Well, it means a lot, and it's crazy. I've told a lot of people this. Being the head coach at a HBCU was always kind of a dream of mine, because of what it means. Growing up in DC, my uncle played basketball at Howard. I remember my first Howard basketball game. watching him play and just the environment, the band. So I was introduced to HBCUs at a very early age, and then just understand what they mean to Black people. And so to be at a school like this, especially one with great history, um, a lot of history on the track and field side, with Wilma Rudolph being Olympic gold medalist. And as I walk outside here, there's a statue of her, and there's a long list of Olympic athletes from that standpoint. Um, but then football's been really good here. So I mean, they have everything that they need here, and that was kind of part of the vision and dream that I had. You know, it has to be the perfect school. You know, what school is it? Well, Howard is obviously one of those schools. Kenny Blakely and obviously Tyler now back home. They did an amazing job there, with the resources that they had, but then also bring in more resources to build Howard to what it is now. Obviously, Coach Lavelle Moden at Central is one of those schools that's been winning. He's done an amazing job just bringing attention to North Carolina Central. Norfolk State is doing an amazing job. I mean, there's so many schools I can go down the list that are just climbing and have hired really good coaches to help HBCUs and bring awareness to these fine institutions. Um, I think that's the main thing that just got me really excited about this job and to be in this position. To do all the things just like those guys have done and take it to even a higher level. But the first thing is hang a banner in the Gentry Center. It hasn't been done here in a long time. I know the history. Everything I've heard around here is, hey, coach, we love to win, coach. Hey, well, I'm obsessed with winning, so we're a match. We're a match. So that's what I'm here to do.
Nolan, you mentioned resources, and obviously, I mean, that is a huge challenge at any school, but especially we're in an era where, to some extent, resources are the reason kids pick the school they're going to. It's the reason, team building is built around resources. It's an unfortunate reality of today compared to what it was, for example, when you were in school. Can you talk a little bit about that challenge and how you're going to try to deal with that? Hey, you got Oprah Winfrey as an alum, maybe get some help there.
Hey, look, if either of y'all have her number, let me know. I'm trying to get in contact with her. She's definitely a legend, a huge figure in life that I would love to get in contact with. But before I get to that level and get her on the phone, just really just using my network, whether it's my Duke network, NBA Network, DC Network. You know, the beautiful thing about this game that I've been fortunate to be around, I've met a lot of really cool people and people that have now reached out that want to help, want to be a part of this. I said in my press conference, there's nothing better than being part of something that's bigger than yourself. And this is definitely one of those jobs that this is bigger than me and what I can do for this city, what I can do for this community. Um, what I could do for these players. In our first meeting, I talked to them about being champions. What does it mean when you're a champion? You're a champion at TSU. Well, it means that when you're done playing basketball, you'll be able to come back to Nashville and do whatever it is that you want to do because you're going to be remembered as a champion. And at the end of the day, I told some of these guys, I was like, look, there's nothing like being a champion because even at Duke, all the players, we joke around, but when you have a banner in Cameron, you get to walk in Cameron a little different than the other amazing players that played at Duke just because you got a banner. Right? That's just what it is.
I love that. That's awesome.
We play a sport that's about winning, and the winners are remembered and loved just a teeny bit more. I think we all love every guy that played in the Brotherhood. I think the fans would all say we love all of our guys, right? But those champions are just loved a little bit more.
So this is kind of a two-part question because you mentioned some of the guys that you've kind of seen at other HBCUs, namely, Kenny Blakeney, Tyler Thornton were at Howard, and I know you've rubbed shoulders with them as part of the Brotherhood. First of all, talk to me about anything that they may have shared with you, insight, guidance as to how they were able to make Howard so successful, something you can emulate, but also you mentioned alums at Tennessee State. My favorite basketball alum is Carlos Rogers because he was my neighbor
Yeah.
growing up.
Yes.
And so the Brotherhood obviously is something that is world renowned at this point. How do you take that and maybe cultivate it at a Tennessee State where, like you mentioned, the list is long and distinguished, but people outside of those walls may not know about the extensive athletic history that State
Yeah.
presents.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I think my second phone call after getting the job was with Kenny Blakely, and we talked for about an hour and a half. And just a couple of the things we talked about is just, reaching out to people, reaching out to the network, getting involved on the campus, and just making sure people see me, feel me, understand the mission at hand, and understand exactly what it is that I need to be successful. And then if they aren't able to get it for me, then that's when you have to be able to go get and create different avenues that just help your program climb and grow to where I want it to be. And if it's not at the level and the standard that's my standards, then everybody else just kind of has to catch up to that. You never lower your standards was one of the things that he talked about. Never lower your standards, um, and eventually everybody else is going to catch up. They'll catch up and get caught up into the championship standards and championship culture. Um, but yeah, I think just being here, having the conversations right now in Nashville, it's exactly that. Everybody here wants to win. There's obviously Vanderbilt, Lipscomb, Belmont, Fisk. UT is right up the road. Austin P is right up the road. Memphis is right down the road. Right? There's so many schools right here in the state of Tennessee, and you have a Division I school right here, a HBCU in the OVC, which is a good mid-major one bid league. Like there should be an excitement about this school just like the other ones. Now you have to give them something to be excited for, and you have to go out there and attack the people that you want in the stands and attack the people that you want to help the program and apply pressure to them and say, hey, how cool would it be if Tennessee State and Vanderbilt played every single year and it's a competitive basketball game where it goes either way, right? And I think in today's climate of NIL and revenue share payment and all the things that come with the sport now, it's even more possible to do it and quickly. It used to take time. It used to take time to build a program. It used to take time to win. And I told the AD, I told the president, the time is now. Why is the time is now? Because the time is now. Because now all it is resources. Let's go get the money for NIL. Let's go get the money to redo our facilities. Let's go get it. Like, let's go get it, build it now, then let's win.
So I guess related to that, and we're going to get a little bit more into your program and how, again, a Nolan Smith program is going to run. But let's start with this. What is the priority that you have in shaping that foundation that you know you need to build upon?
The priority is the players. The players always will come first, second, and third. And if the players are understanding of the culture, understanding of what it takes to win, the sacrifices that it takes to win, what it takes every single day to show up for workouts, show up for the weight room, show up to the track. The players have to understand that, and then the players eventually set the standard and set the culture. So once they understand that, everything else just kind of falls in line. When they see the players moving different, acting different, talking different, now everybody's like, "Oh man, those guys are looking and moving and look a certain way that we've never seen before." Yeah, well, this is unique. This is different. This is being taken to a level that TSU has never seen before. That's the first priority for myself and for the staff is to get this thing looking so different that people are like, we want to be a part of that. And right now, I've had these guys for 2 weeks. There's already a difference. When the AD's come in the gym, he says, man, there's a different level of talk. There's a different level of competitiveness. There's a different level of fire that he's hearing and seeing. And that's again, that's first. That's first. And from there, now, okay, let's go build this thing and get the people around these players to just get the excitement to where we want to win the league and we set goals. We want to win the OVC. And then after we win the OVC, we want to go win a game or two in the NCAA tournament. That those are the high level goals. And you have to set goals. And once you see them and the players see them, then you have to go get it.
I hear you talking about getting the right people around the players and right people around the program. I know you just recently announced your coaching staff, and I saw the name of Vince Taylor on there. Vince is a absolute legend at Duke. I'm an old man, Vince predates me.
Yeah, yeah. Great,
Tell me
great
how
guy.
that came about. Is it just brotherhood serendipity? But talk us through, your partnership with, yeah, with a Dookie who's Vince's in his 60s now, right?
Probably in his 60s. Yeah, I think younger than me, 62, 63. Yep. So for him, whenever you're a young head coach like I am, and you have to go get a guy. They always say, get a guy that's, a veteran, get an OG, get somebody that's been through the wars. So I called coach about it and I mentioned Vince. Vince and I have obviously been great friends, like a lot of us in the Brotherhood are, but he was one of those guys that I've always talked to on the phone and talked basketball with. And I mentioned him to coach, and he goes, well, before basketball, he goes, he's a great guy. He says he's a great guy. He's gonna be great with the kids. Well, like I said, when the priority is the players, that's priority. Before basketball, these players have to be around great people, great human beings, guys that have stories, guys that have been through it, been at every level. I mean, Vince was with Rick Pitino. He was with Tubby Smith. He was in the NBA. He was with Johnny Dawkins. Like he's been everywhere. So he has so much experience, and just his excitement to come work with me excites me. And just obviously having a guy off from the Brotherhood was a no-brainer just to have beside me coming here. And then the other two guys I'm hiring are also like family. Delonte Hill, who played at Charlotte, UNC Charlotte, and then went to Kansas State with Coach Frank Martin and recruited Mike Beasley and Jacob Pullen and those guys back when they were rolling.
Epic
Um,
play.
oh yeah, absolutely. So Delonte is a big time recruiter. To get anybody to go to Little Manhattan, you must be a great recruiter. There's not much out there. Um, and that was before NIL.
Right, right.
Way before NIL. So you had to be doing something right. Then obviously went to Maryland with Coach Mark Turgeon. Um, so I mean, again, another veteran guy with a lot of experience. He's coached a lot of NBA guys. And just somebody I know I trust and he's ready to, just be a great assistant coach and help affect winning. And then my third guy that I'm bringing in is DeMar Johnson. Um, Obviously, big time player. He's
I'm an Atlanta Hawks fan. We know him. Yeah.
There you go. Big time player. Obviously has a story. I love guys that have a story to tell. And obviously DJ has one with getting in the car accident and so being at the highest of the highs to having those lowest of the low moments, but then just being able to persevere. He was still able to get back on the court. And then now he's transitioned into the coaching game. He was at Cincinnati and then West Virginia. So just another guy that I'm just excited to be around these guys and just show these guys what winning off the court and on the court means.
So I got a couple more questions before we get to the break, and it focuses on you as the coach. Obviously you've had these stints, Duke, Louisville, Memphis. You're now a head coach. What, first of all, do you bring from those stints? What did you learn about you as a coach that you can apply in this position? But also, obviously, a head coach comes with a little bit more responsibility. I'm assuming a lot more pressure. I haven't been a head coach yet.
Yep.
But what learning curve do you as a coach need to kind of overcome to get this position to make it successful?
Yep. So, one thing I know right now from where I've been from under Coach K to Kenny Payne to Penny Hardaway, I've learned a lot. Even with the guys that I've been around, Jon Scheyer, Jeff Capel, Nate James, Collins, Wojo, Johnny, all the names I could continue to just run off. I've been around so many great coaches. I'm gonna be Nolan Smith, the head coach, and be able to just take and learn and continue to call these guys to mold me into the head coach that I'm going to ultimately become the best version of myself. Right now, the best thing I'm going to do is follow my instincts. I've been on the bench for so many games. I've been slowly, quietly behind the scenes watching these guys. I've been taking notes and watching these head coaches as they move because obviously I definitely wanted to be in this seat and I wanted to be in this seat fairly quick. So I'm very humbled to be here as quick as I was able to get here. Um, but just to be in this position to now just put all my ideas out in the open and then just go for it. And I'm a guy, I want to instill confidence, right? I want my guys to play free. I want them to play fast. I want them to push the ball. Our primary offense is going to be transition, and we're going to get in the secondary, and then we'll have our half court set. But teaching these guys how to play and how to play the right way is basically my mindset. But obviously, before you get to the offense, the first thing is defense. Got to be able to play defense. I want to play it like an old school Duke defensive style. Where we get up and we pressure, we're contesting, um, and we're wreaking havoc on the defensive end with a lot of different types of defense where we're pressing, trapping, and just flying all over the court, especially with this year's team. Again, every roster is different, right? So you have to coach each roster based on your personnel. This year's roster for me is going to be a team that I can do a lot of things defensively, and I have about 12 guys that can play. Well, early on, I'm gonna play all 12 of those guys and tell them when you get out there, you might be out there for 3 minutes. You play as hard as you possibly can for 3 minutes, and then you're coming out.
So that leads me to my next question is, again, we know Nolan Smith, the player. We even know Nolan Smith, the assistant coach. But when you think about this team, for me, for those out there listening, if they are tuning in to the Tennessee State Tigers for the first time sometime this season, what will be the staple of this program? Not just for those people watching, but for your players or for anyone out there who may be listening thinking, I can play for Nolan Smith.
They play fast and they play hard and they play selfless. Those I think will be the three top things that they're gonna see from my team, especially this year. How fast they play, how they get up and down, how in shape they are, how they play defense, how connected they are on the defensive end of the court, and then how selfless they are. We're going to be preaching it from day one, good to great. Give up a good shot for a great shot. If you don't do it, we're on the line. If you take one of those shots in practice, we're on the line, right? We're going to be a team that is going to get a great shot every time down the court. If you've made four in a row and you get a shot that's a good one, you make it out. Okay, all right, you deserve to take one of those. But for the most part, if we're taking great shots at a high percentage, we're gonna make them, right? And I have a team this year that has shot makers and guys that have the ability to put the ball in the basket.
Gotta leave room for the heat check.
Got to leave room for that. 100%. Look, I took a lot of them, so I'm not gonna tell anybody. I'm not gonna tell anybody not to take them.
All right, folks, we're going to take a quick commercial break. On the other side, we'll be back with more from Nolan. I'm going to ask him specifically a little bit about his relationship with Jon Scheyer, and we're going to talk about the 2010 national title, just a little tiny bit. We'll have that in just a moment.
Summer is here. More sun, way more heat, more time to do all the things that make summer so special. And the number one thing you don't want to be doing all summer? Spending hours cooking. That's where Factor can help. Factor's chef-crafted, dietitian-approved, and delicious meals are ready in just 2 minutes, taking the hassle out of eating well.
Boy, that's right, Donald. Not only are they quick to heat up, you have a lot of options. You're not stuck with the same leftovers for the entire week. With 45 weekly menu options, you can pick gourmet meals that fit your goals. And if you're someone who does meal prep for the week, Factor's variety of options means you can have something different every single day, and you don't have to cook. Now you can get outside and enjoy some time with your loved ones.
So get started at factormeals.com/DukeBB50 off. Use that code DukeBB50 off to get 50% off, plus free shipping on your first box. Again, that's factormeals.com/DukeBB50 off for 50% off, plus free shipping. Once again, factormeals.com/DukeBB50 off.
The Disney Plus Hulu HBO Max bundle. Plan starting at just $16.99 a month. Catch Limitless, Live Better Now Season 1 with Chris Hemsworth on Disney Plus.
We got a lot of work to do.
Alien Earth on Hulu.
This ship collected monsters.
And Final Destination Bloodlines on HBO Max.
Death is coming for our family.
The Disney Plus Hulu HBO Max bundle. Plan starting at $16.99 a month. All these and more streaming soon. Visit Disney Plus Hulu HBO Max bundle.com for details.
Back here with Nolan Smith, Jason Donald, DBR Podcast. Nolan, I want to ask you, first of
Yep.
all, you and Jon Scheyer obviously know each other from way, way back.
Yep.
You were one of the best backcourts in the country
Yep.
when you were together and you won a national title. And
Yep.
then you coached together for several years under Coach K
Yep.
before Jon moved to the head coaching job and you went back to Louisville to be with your father's old teammate, Kenny Payne. I give all that backstory to lead to this. You had to coach against Duke when you were at Louisville. Take us back to those moments. What was it like the first time and every time you looked down your bench and realized that the other bench was your old teammate and your old team?
Yeah, man, it was the first time was weird. First just being in the visiting team locker room, walking out and dapping up Jose and Coach Will and all the guys. I walked down and I wanted to stop for a second. I almost forgot to keep walking because I was already on our side. But it was weird, and that first embrace with Jon as the opposite side was amazing. He whispered in my ear, he said, "Welcome home." So I mean that felt amazing. But then you look down and you're coaching on that visiting side for the first time. It was unique. It was very unique and hard. I got the first feel of what it's like to be a visiting team in Cameron, and it's not fun at all. I remember I just going into that scout. I had the scout, and I tell my guys, like, look, I'm hyping us up. I'm like, man, look, we can go out, we can play with them. I was like, but it's gonna be that first time where they hit two threes or get a three and a dunk, and maybe one more still and another dunk. Y'all be ready to handle the storm of when it gets so loud in Cameron. How are you gonna come out of that next time out? Well, I don't know if y'all remember, L. Ellis went crazy in the first couple minutes. L. Ellis was making some
Yeah.
big time shots. And I think we might have been up like 9-2 or something like 9-4, whatever it was. L was rolling, and then it happened. And their faces after the first time out, they were all excited. They're like, yeah, 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 yeah. I'm like, yo, guys, calm down. We're good. Calm down. I love the excitement, but calm down. Be ready for what's about to happen. Yeah, and then boom, 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 boom. That next time out, the faces were like this. Like, yeah,
Sorry, man. Sorry, I had to do it to
hey,
you.
that was one of those moments as a visiting team coach for the first time where you kind of turn around and you're like, yeah, well, we're in trouble now. But nah, man, it was so much fun, and obviously, it was crazy not being able to be there with Jon. His first year as a head coach was tough, right? I think when it all went down, there was a lot of stories out there and wrong stories. There was a lot of stuff out there about it. I mean, like at the end of the day, like you said, Jon and I were championship teammates. We are brothers, not were. We are brothers. We were in each other's weddings. But the timing of everything was just for me, it was God's plan, right? For me to go back to Louisville, Kentucky, where I was born, a place that in my heart, kind of always wanted to be at some point in my life. I didn't know when. Obviously, choosing Duke was the best decision for me, but Louisville was the other school in the mix, strongly in the mix, for me to go. So when Kenny Payne got the job, Coach K retires, I'm looking at him like, all right, well, Jon's the head coach here now. I'm like, he's gonna be great. I was like, but can I go help Kenny Payne, turn Louisville around and help him there? I'm like, I think I can do that. Like, let's do this. So, and obviously had a lot of conversations with Coach K. So it was an opportunity for me to go spread my wings, get out of the Duke bubble for a little bit, and just see something new, and learn something new, learn a different school, learn a different system. Like Louisville's a public school. I've been in a private school my whole career, played to coach. So I was able to go just see something different and learn. Obviously, it went the way it went. But again, no regrets in my decision because I was able to learn a lot from those 2 years. One of the biggest things I learned was something that Coach K always told us: show up every day ready to work. It was a little bit easier when you're at Duke, to show up every day ready to work when you're coaching Zion Williamson and RJ and Marvin Bagley, and those are the guys you're working with. But here, I was working with some great kids, and we were going through something that was very tough. Well, how do you show up every day ready to work when you're going through something hard, right? When you've won 2 games in the last 20 days, like when you're going through that. But that's where I challenge myself to really look myself in the mirror every morning and say, hey, let's go to work. These guys need me. And, obviously we never got the wins, but I think when I look back at that, I'm like, look, we got better. We were close in games. We ended up beating Clemson at the end. Um, so yeah, I think that was one of the biggest things I learned, how to continue to be myself, which is always care, always put the players first, show up every single day ready to work, and still put this smile on my face and love these kids the way they're supposed to be loved. So in the 2 years of Louisville, those was definitely the biggest thing that I learned from there. And then I go to Memphis with Penny Hardaway, and get back to winning, which was which was very fun. Very fun to go there, get back to winning. I had missed it so much in those 2 years. I missed winning. I kind of forgot what it felt like, but we got right to it. Going over to Maui and beating UConn, Michigan State. Obviously lost to Auburn. Then we come back. We beat Clemson, beat Ole Miss, beat one at Clemson, at Virginia. I'm like, okay, yeah, now this is what I'm used to. Like getting big road wins, especially in the ACC, and running back in that locker room and celebrating. So just learning from a different coach and Penny Hardaway, just from his style of play, the concepts to how he liked to press and do different defenses. So it's just another opportunity for me to learn to be ready for the position that I'm sitting in right now.
Well, I want to ask about have you thought at all about the Brotherhood run? I mean, Jon has now set up. Last year, he did it with Bobby Hurley at Arizona State. This year, he's doing it with Johnny Dawkins. He also has some regular season games against some of the smaller schools. Have you guys talked about it at all yet? I mean, the opportunity to play in Cameron as a head coach.
Yeah, we haven't talked about it yet. We've been texting back and forth. About a week ago, we were texting back and forth just about the job and different things. But yeah, the next text. So I'll go ahead and put the notice out there now, Jon. I'm gonna text you soon about definitely setting that up. It'll be very exciting, and to bring my kids potentially back to Cameron and have that opportunity will be very exciting. And again, I have to walk down to the other side, but this time, to be standing across from my championship teammate and going head to head and battling something we've done plenty of times in practice will be very fun and exciting.
Well, real quick on when you're thinking about scheduling, because I know we've talked about it on the Duke end. Obviously, as you mentioned, some things come a little bit easier when Duke calls. A lot of people say, yes, we're willing to listen about a game. For you, how has that been? And I know you haven't been there that long, so maybe some of the scheduling had already been completed before you got there. But how easy or difficult is it for you to schedule some non-conference games that you think will help your team get better?
Yeah, it's actually been very this year's schedule was set, but looking ahead, I'm excited for what's to come. I'm excited for the opportunities and just the different sceneries that I could put my guys in. And those games for us, and when they talk about buy games, right? Some of those games are more so financial games for us to go get as much money as possible before non-conference. But again, by that time, we're going to be in a position where those games are also going to be competitive. And if we can sneak one, you don't want to win too many of them because then it's hard to get them again. Then the phone will stop answering. We don't want to touch TSU because they might get us and we can't pay you too much money to come beat us, right? So, but I'm excited. I mean, a lot of my friends in the business have reached out to me already. Hey man, do you want a game? Let us know next year. We'd love to have you. So I'm excited just to go on the road and go to some really cool environments and test our guys out. Test our guys out, test their toughness, test their mental toughness to go into a tough road environment um, as the major underdogs and shock the world.
I want to get to 2010 just very briefly. You've given us so much time. We promise not to take too
Uh,
much
you're,
more of it.
you're
But
fine.
to me, one of the things that stands out about that title team was just the unbelievable, unprecedented emergence of Brian Zubc toward the end of that season. I mean, I still remember that Maryland game. He was a guy he was playing a little bit, but it wasn't starting or anything. He was getting, 10 to 15 minutes a game and, grabbing a few rebounds here and there. And suddenly we had a game against Maryland in February where like he went for like 16 points or something like that and 17 rebounds, 8 offensive rebounds. And from there on out, rest of the season, he was an offensive rebounder, the likes of which I don't think I've ever seen before. What was it like as a teammate to be like, Zub, where did this come from? How did this happen? And oh my God, this guy's taken us to a national title.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, look, it was exciting for us because then you had Zubs and Lance, and then you had the two young fellas off the bench and Mason and Miles that were two different bigs. From those two bigs, you had your two bruisers that were just physical and did everything with the physicality, and the other two did everything with their athleticism. Um, but when Zoobs turned into big Zoobs, the Zoobs that we all know and love, it was just like, man, like, so we can hit him in the post. He's gonna offensive rebound. He's gonna rebound every ball. The best thing that I know myself and John loved and Kyle loved was the offensive rebound kick out threes. You know,
Oh, yeah. You guys like invented that. It was
oh yeah. Hey, and it's hard. It's very hard now to get bigs to understand that on an offensive rebound, the defense is going to collapse. Everybody's around you, smacking at you, trying to get it out your hand. Zoobs and Lance both mastered. Once you get it there, you're already in the paint. The defense converts. Let me go ahead and look around. So instead of throw up a bad shot and hoping that it goes in, I have three guys outside three-point line that are shooting 40% from three. If they get a two for $1 or a second or a wide open three off a kick out, they're probably gonna make it. So it was a gift. It was a gift at those high, but it just was also how selfless Zoobs and Lance were when it came to wanting to do whatever to help the team win, which is, at the end of the day, if you want to win a national championship or do something that special, it's going to take a lot of guys being selfless, like those two guys, even the guys off the bench. You know, they sacrificed and did things that just helped us win and allowed myself, John, and Kyle to be ourselves and do a bulk of the scoring. You know, obviously we played defense too, but those were the dirty work guys that just made our lives so much easier.
Was there a point in that season where it really started to crystallize for you that like, this year's different?
Yeah. Uh, I don't know if there was a point in the season. I think we felt it heading into the summertime with that group. We felt it pretty early. But I would just say all year long, from the start to mid-year, we just kept getting better. Became more connected. You know, 'cause I was the guy that kind of emerged that year as the new scorer on the scene, right? So once I was fully found out as far as who I was as a scorer and I was as a player, now they're looking at me a little different, and it's like, yeah, like we're ready to roll now, and everybody just kind of took off as far as confidence. We knew how to get in the paint and kick. We knew how to have secondary penetration and kick again. We knew how to find our bigs for dump offs. Like there was nothing that we couldn't do on the basketball court, and we played defense. You know, I think I think we ended up being number one offense and defense at the end of that year. So we did everything at an extremely high level. We were veterans. We talked. We had been through wars. We had been through the ups and downs. Like we don't think there was a more complete team in college basketball. When I look and watch all these teams now, I see all the write-ups about championship teams in the last 20, 30, 40 years. That 2010 team, yes, I'm biased, but we were a very, very special group that I don't care who you line us up against. We were going to have a chance to beat any of the championship teams in the last 30 years, one without a doubt.
So for guys who have been on the show from that team, I've asked this question. So apologies if I've asked you this. I remember it was a long time since we got to ask you this question, but that national championship game is one of the most replayed national championship games ever. And really, they replay that last 2.9 seconds. How many times have you watched Gordon Hayward's shot go in the air and, bounce off the backboard and almost go in? And do you still hold your breath like I know most of us do?
I definitely do. There's some butterflies that still go on, every time I see a replay of it, that's like, whew, I'm glad it didn't go in again.
Right. Waiting for AI. Someone's going to change it to AI and we're just going to lose our minds. But for now, it's still
Right.
intact.
Yeah, I'm surprised that hasn't happened already.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to see it. It doesn't
Yeah,
exist.
neither do I.
Hey, Nolan, really quick, I just want to ask you, you mentioned this a second ago, and I want to follow up on it. The fact that you emerged that season, that 2010 season, you'd been a good player, no question about it, your first couple of years in school, but not nearly, the full-time starter, 35 plus minutes per game player that you became as a junior in 2010. I mean, folks may not recall, you were an 8 point per game scorer the year before, which is fine. I'm not saying that's great, but to go from 8 points to more than 17 points per game is a huge leap. I mean, take me a little bit through your progression. Guys are always in a hurry, you know? Guys are like, it's got to happen for me now. I mean, we see it nowadays in college basketball more than ever with the transfer portal. Oh, I only averaged 5 points per game last year, I'm transferring. You stuck around, and admittedly, things were very different, but you stuck around and then just exploded as a junior and a senior. Can't imagine you don't give that lesson to kids that you're coaching as well.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's all about trusting the process, right? And I think with this game, there's a process to it. It's not going to be just handed to you. There's going to be ups and downs. No matter how good you are, no matter how good you think you are, it's this game is unforgiving if you just think it's just gonna just go your way, right? So for me, going in as a McDonald's All-American, again, you said played a little bit my freshman year, sophomore year, again, averaged 8 points, but had my ups and downs. I started that season, and then at the end had some injuries and got knocked back a little bit. But at the end of that year is when I came back, I was able to watch the game for a little bit. And when I came back, I was like, okay, well, you know, I can be aggressive, but then also be a point guard at the same time. I think I was never a point guard. I was always just a guard. And once I turned into that guard that just knew how to make plays for myself and for my teammates, um, that's when I found out who Nolan Smith was as a player. And for the funniest story I'll share with y'all, when Kyrie got hurt, that next game, I think I had 2 points and 10 assists. And I was happy. We won the game and I had 10 assists. I think it might be my first time having 10 assists. And Coach K calls me into the conference room and he had this look on his face. I'm like, man, what's wrong? He didn't look happy. He was like, that wasn't it. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I still need you to be you. I still need you to be aggressive. I still need you to take shots when they're there. He's like, you passed up a ton of open shots tonight for other players' shots. He's like, but you still have to get going. So I'm like, okay. And then I think the next game, I can't recall who it was, but I think I ended up coming out and having like 26 or 27 and 5 assists. And then again, coach calls me into the back after that game and he goes, That's that's what I need you to do. That's Nolan Smith. And that's kind of when I took off and understood who I was and who I could potentially become. And from there, the rest was history for that season.
You have a great memory. I went back and looked, and you're right. The game against Bradley, you have 10 assists and only 2 points, 0 of 8 from the field. And then, the next game, 22, then the next game, 22, then 26, then 28, then 33. I don't need to keep going. It took off
That
right
was
there for
it.
sure, man.
It took
All right,
off. So.
we're gonna let you go, but before you go, I need a Jon Scheyer story. I used to ask for Coach K stories. You are someone who has enough history. You got to have a Jon Scheyer story. Now it could be. I've already heard a little bit about the scrimmages, the 1-on-1s, 2-on-2s, and the such that you guys would do after practice.
Yeah, yeah.
We've heard a little bit about that in the past. So if you want to go there, you can. But if you got a better one, give me your best Scheyer story that you're allowed to tell to the public.
Let me see. I mean, those stories are the best. I miss those days. 1-on-1 full court to 100, 2-on-2 to 100, 3-on-3 to 100. Um, those were fun and competitive games that John and I together didn't lose many of them versus our managers. Though if you ever talk to anybody, they'll try and say that they won a game, but they didn't. Um, but one thing about John I'll just share is he might be one of the most competitive guys I've ever been around about everything, right? So it could be a game on your phone. Remember those iPhone games? I don't even play them anymore. Like are they pigeon, whatever.
Candy
And he
Crush, stuff like that. Yeah.
any class, anything, right? And you can be on the bus and we're playing, and he might get on his phone, start playing a game. We might be passing it back and forth, and like if he's about to win and you didn't get back to the game and play, and he'll be looking at you from across the seat on the bus, like, "Hey, play," knowing that he was about to win, just to nudge you, just so you know, just so you lost before we got off that bus, right? So just the overall crazy competitor that he is. I mean, he's one of the best competitors out there.
Oh man, this was great. Nolan, we appreciate it. We wish you the best of luck at Tennessee State. I hope Jon Scheyer's listening. We want to get you and Cameron have a little brotherhood run, Tennessee State against Duke. And I'm looking forward to the day where you guys are in the NCAA tournament. The whole country talk about the job you've done at Tennessee State building the program. It's a program that deserves success, and you deserve success as well. Thanks, sir. We really appreciate you.
Man, appreciate y'all.
All right, that's wrapping it up here, folks, on the latest edition of the DBR Podcast. We'll be back in your feed very, very soon. Deep tease, people. We got another interview coming up in the next week or so with a former Dookie that you're going to want to hear. Until then, he's Donald. I'm Jason. That was Nolan Smith. Here's the Duke Band playing us out and taking us home.